Hey everyone, you guys know me, and every morning you guys will also know me. I like to pray for an opportunity to share about Christ, and even if there's a way I could just point someone to it, then uh, I find that effective to the Great Commission. And yeah, that's something I always pray about in the mornings, and God grants an experience and an opportunity where I can do so. And I've had multiple of these opportunities with a colleague of mine, and I had one of them today. And this was centric on the moral argument for God. How we ended up there, yeah, no, I mentioned to him a presentation I did to my youth group a couple days ago. Again, that's a presentation I will actually post on this YouTube in a more extended format because I had a bit of a time limit for the youth group, but that's fine. Um, yeah, so we ended up on the objective moral argument, and by the way, I might usually want to repel from the objective moral argument because there's not as much a you could say a clear uh, arrow pointing to Jesus and the gospel, which is the ultimate reason we want to even present any uh, argument for God. We want to make it easier for uh, the the person understanding this to then be in a position where the gospel makes sense to them, and yeah, to complicate everything before the simple, clear, strong warning gospel, I may not be the most effective step in every case, but in this case, this was brought up. This friend of mine is very interested in philosophy, way more than I could be a couple years ago, or I could have think I would be even in a few years from now. But he's he's definitely encouraged me to find ways to rephrase and to redeliver the objective moral argument. So the premises of the objective moral argument follow like objective morals require a objective moral lawgiver. There are objective morals. Therefore, there is an objective moral lawgiver. So if you prove the first two premises, uh, I think it's important to get the definition of objective and subjective moral quickly, because that's what led to a bit of confusion in the talking we were doing. He was convinced, or I mean, not convinced. Maybe the way I set it up convinced him, but he thought that objective morals referred to a point of morality that everyone agrees on. Uh, that's not how we define objective morals. I presented child sacrifice as an example, but which you'd think everyone agrees on, but no, there's plenty of societies that do that now. You see, I mean, not probably not now. Sorry, as in we see in history, we see plenty of societies who thought it was a completely moral thing to do. You take the Ammonite society and the god Moloch, for example, which I presented in my presentation, which I will put up. Be patient. Yeah, so this the way I think I'll just go through it in depth. So a moral law, objective morality says that despite what us humans think, what each of us individuals think is right and wrong, despite what societies define as right and wrong, despite what the elites, the people in power, define as right as wrong, there are some things that remain wrong despite what all these societies, all these individuals say. And one of those things I presented was child sacrifice. Not everyone agrees with it. Everyone has a subjective opinion, okay? Everyone has a subjective opinion. That does not mean moral every moral statement is subjective. For example, you take child sacrifice. The Ammonites had their subjective opinion. They thought it was a-okay, yeah? They thought it was a really nice thing to do, You'd give your baby to Moloch. Uh, Actually, I'll give it in detail. Let's see if I can find it. Find a photo. Yeah, let me know if you guys can see this. Okay. Let me zoom in. That might help a bit. But yeah, okay, that's not helping at all. 1 second. Dude, I don't want to do all this. What happened to the old Google where it's just like open in its own row? That was so cool. I don't think they ever built this. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay, that's a character. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it looked a bit like this. I don't know. Let me scroll down. Man, this Google layout, bro. Okay, 1 second. Well, let's not put my Spotify. We don't even need you up there. Is that better? Okay, yeah. As you can see, we have a Ammonite priest handing a baby to the metallic material idol Moloch. And obviously, you can see there's a furnace underneath, so the metallic statue would be hot. So hot, the baby sizzles to death, and as the baby screams, the drummers, you can see here, they'll play the drums louder and louder, so the families wouldn't have to hear the screams. But all this for either to impress their god or for better crops the next season, whatever. That's the subjective opinion of the Ammonites. That's the subjective opinion they had. Now, objective morality says, although they have their subjective opinion that child sacrifice is right, they are still absolutely wrong. Their subjective opinion on an objective moral is incorrect. It's invalid. They are wrong. Child sacrifice is wrong no matter what. Now, here's I think it's better to actually conceptualize the argument, the objective moral argument for God, from assuming that there are no objective morals. So this is from a position of subjective morality, where every moral is subjective, okay? And in other words, moral relativism. That's a phrase you'll probably hear thrown around. Moral relativism says that, moral relativism by the individual says that, me, Nishal, I define X as right and Y as wrong. You, the viewer, you define Y as right and X as wrong. Now, I cannot look at you doing Y, which you think is right and I think is wrong. I cannot look at you and say that is absolutely wrong, right? What I can say is, from my subjective opinion, from my subjective perspective, that appears wrong, you know? But I understand that from your perspective, it's not wrong. So go on with your day, you know? And here's the funny thing. The next day you could define, if I define X as right, Y is wrong today, tomorrow I could define Y is right, X is wrong, okay? So it's not even between individuals. I could define something completely opposite next day. I could feed a homeless man today. I could take his coin bowl the next day and throw it in the grater. I think that's a moral thing to do, you know? I can help a old woman across the road, or I could push her on the road. If I define these things, if I help an old lady across the road on Tuesday, on Wednesday I can push her on the road, and I can say it's completely a moral thing to do, right? And here's a funny thing. You, looking on the outside, you're looking at me pushing an old lady on the road. You cannot say, as a moral relativist, that what I did there was incorrect. You can't say that what I did there was immoral. You can't say what I did there was absolutely wrong. You can only say what I did there was immoral from your perspective. It was the wrong thing to do from your standpoint, your view, okay, your worldview, yeah. And to my understanding, that is not how any moral, or anyone who claims moral relativism, that's not how they want to live, right? It's funny how the people who reject the existence of objective morality and claim moral relativism, they live as if objective morality is driving their lives, you know? They stick by even Judeo-Christian values for some of them, you know? It's fine. They're moral people, right? The objective morality has nothing to say about who's moral and who's not. It's to say, what's your basis for critiquing something as immoral? What's your basis for critiquing something as moral, on the other hand? Okay, so as a moral relativist, if I want to be consistent, I have to act like I define by myself what's right and what's wrong. And a couple of people I know who have done that. One is Jeffrey Dahmer. So some of you guys know he's a serial killer. I think he even ate bodies on some behalves, and this is justified completely through an atheist perspective. A atheist perspective is where there's no objective moral lawgiver, therefore moral relativism exists. And this makes sense, right? Because from not just an atheist perspective, but a naturalistic atheist perspective, space, time, and matter have no capacity to create innate value of someone. Yeah? So I think Jeffrey Dahmer is justified in doing what he did if no one clipped that, okay? I'm not saying I think he's absolutely wrong, because I believe in objective morality. If I was a moral relativist, then I would say he's completely justified in what he did. Humans are just arbitrary combinations of atoms. I've seen Ask Cliff. I'll tag his channel in the description, but I've seen him elaborate it as there not being a difference between cutting the head of a lettuce, cutting the head of a cow, and cutting the head of another human. These are just random arrangements of atoms that we arbitrarily set value to from a naturalistic perspective. If that doesn't make sense, then actually no, that should make sense. If I have to go more layman than that, then this video is just going to take some time, honestly. Yeah, but that's a perspective of a moral relativist. So what we have here in society is a lot of people claiming they're moral relativists, but they're living as if child sacrifice is absolutely wrong. If you steal, this is the example I use with my friend, right? If I steal your backpack, you as a moral relativist cannot look at me and saying what you did that was absolutely wrong, right? Now, at times I might be convinced that it's wrong as well for myself, but at times I might not be. I might like my friend's laptop that he's got there, and I also like benefiting my family. I think my little sister should have his laptop, you know? I think that'll be good. I think my little sister would use a laptop better than he's using it, and I think it would contribute to the human race even better if that exact laptop was in my sister's hands rather than him, even though he paid for it. So I might define the moral thing to do in that situation as stealing his laptop and giving it to my sister when I get home. I mean, honestly, put aside. Oh, I'm recording. Okay. Yeah. I'll be done quick. Don't worry, mate. Don't worry, mate. If I was born with an Aussie accent, I guess I am, but I've been told like I pronounce my R's, so I've been accused of being American more than being Australian, which is funny. Even though I grew up here and I've been to America for 1 month, I don't know. Yeah, but that's my perspective on moral relativism. There's no basis for you to call someone doing something as wrong. You know, if you could define it as how your society defines it, but then the question arises: which society? The Nazi society defined X as right and Y as wrong. The Western society, the Allies, defined Y as right and X as wrong. This is what took down the Nuremberg trials, actually. And the one thing that brought it back up was a claim of objective morality by Robert Jackson, I believe. So Robert Jackson. Yep, this guy right here. That's the one. Sorry, I'm looking down my search history, just seeing how my day has gone. These three were for the presentation I did. This was for why is this here? Steve Irwin background. Oh, that connected to my work laptop. I see. Wizard with Hope. Okay, that's a funny idea. I'll tell you guys later. For sure. Yeah, and yeah, these things I searched up today. But yeah, Robert Jackson, he presented the case that there exists a law above the law. So this was the only basis that the main basis at least that the Allies had in succeeding through the Nuremberg trials and putting those 24 Nazi generals to their rightful deaths for their crimes. But yeah, objective morality, if I say child sacrifice is wrong no matter what all humans says, even if every single human says child sacrifice is right, there is still an innate violation of value occurring. Therefore, child sacrifice is wrong, despite what humans say. So, if that's true, that means there is some standard that humans have no capability of defining, which requires a mind that's able to provide definition above the human mind. And that mind above the human mind, similar to the law above the law, the mind above the human mind is what we call the objective moral lawgiver. And this is, in a way, I guess, a quick summarization of the moral argument as I know it. But yeah, that's a nice quick basis. I'll go more in depth in my video for I'll be going through 3 arguments, which is a fine-tuning argument, argument from design, and objective morality. So I guess it's a bit of a sneak peek, and I guess I just more wanted to put out my experience from today with talking to this really encouraging colleague of mine. Yeah. Anyways, peace.